Hello everyone, it's week 3 of Nina Ribena's Art Journal Prompts and More, and we're still in January working on the words prompt, and I want to tackle my calendar page today. Some of you will remember Weenie came up with the idea of us doing a calendar page each month with a view to turning it into a 2019 calendar that we can use for ourselves or give away as a gift at the end of the year. Now, Weenie found a couple, I can't remember if it was on Amazon or eBay, of templates. And some of them were really expensive, ranging from £2 or £3, so not expensive at all. But if you have a look on the internet, there are also some free printables. This is one that I've found. It probably isn't the one that I shall end up using because I think I'd quite like one with individual boxes. But I've just been playing around just so that I know what size page I'm going to work on so that I can make a start. Now, this is one that I found that I printed off in A4 format, and then I've reduced it on my printer to A5, UK A5, which is just half of A4 size. A4 is just your standard photocopier printer page size. Let me just see that I'm in frame, and I quite like the idea of having my calendar on the bottom so that I've got space at the top for my piece of artwork. And I've just cut down a piece of black cardstock here, just so that I can play around, and I think this is the size I'm going to use. This is a piece of 6x4 paper, and I think composition wise that's quite nice for this particular size page. Now, this is postcard size as well, and so what I think I'm going to do is each month when we're doing our calendar page, I shall do my page for my calendar. And I might do a couple of extras as well, because I like the idea of sending a postcard out to just random people, which is maybe something we can all take part in. So that's the size that I am going to work on, because as I say, it just fits nicely, you know, without it being too overpowering. And of course, I need to make a start and make sure that as I'm producing these going forward, that they're all the same size. So this is 6x4 inches, as I say. Now I'm going to clear this away, grab some inks, because I want to work with my Bombay Inks today, and I shall be right back. Now, I'm going to be working using some Bombay Inks. These are the colours that I'm going to be using. Let's have a look and see what they are. This is violet, red violet, teal, and I might even use some grass green at the end, and I'm going to use them in that order. So the violet, red violet, teal, and then the green if I decide to use it, and then I might use some white at the end as well. This is a technique that I've shared before, and so I shall leave a link to the previous video where I shared it in the description box below. It was just a background that I created previously, whereas I'm actually going to do a finished page today, and I am working on the reverse side of photo paper. So this is the glossy side, and I'm just going to turn my piece of paper over. I'm using the whole of the A4 sheet because I want to be able to cut it up so that I can cut a piece in 6x4 for my postcard, and hopefully have some left over that I can send out as postcards to friends. Excuse me, I am still suffering with this flu. I feel much better, but I've still got this lingering cough. So if I cough and splutter, I do apologise. Now, I'm going to be using 2 sheets of this photo paper. And as I say, I will be working on the reverse side. The glossy side, what I find is that the inks stick to it. It's got sort of like a coating, whereas the reverse side is very similar to Yupo paper. So that's the side that I am going to be working on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of my violet, and I am just going to, I haven't used these for a while, so let me just get my pipette working, bear with me. I'm just going to splodge a few drops on my page like so, and then I'm going to spritz it with some water. This is just plain water, and let that run. I mean, that looks pretty as it is, doesn't it? And then I'm going to smush the other piece of photo paper. Again, I'm using the reverse side. This is the shiny side here. And I'm going to smush that. So I'm probably going to end up with my fingers being in a right old mess, but that is absolutely fine. And then I've got some not rubbing alcohol, what is it? Surgical spirits. You can use isopropyl alcohol. I've just got my surgical spirits here. I think whilst I've got this flu, I just feel that it's a bit safer for me to use. And less likely to have some respiratory issues, because of course, you know, the rubbing alcohol does get to you. Now what I want to do is, where I've got this gap here, I'm going to tip this upside down and I'm going to rub the pages together again. You might want to have your windows open when you're doing this as well, because it is a bit on the smelly side, I have to say. There we go. And again, I can add a bit more of the surgical spirits, just creating these lovely patterns. And now what I want to do is I'm going to grab my heat tool and give this a quick dry. Drying this, it will dry really quickly because of the alcohol, as you can see. But you want to make sure that you're moving the heat tool around, because the photo paper burns really easily and it will pop and crack if you're not careful. So just keep moving your heat tool around like this. And so I'm going to give this a quick blast and dry as much of that liquid as I can. You can see it drying really quickly. And then any of the areas that are pooling, like I've got here, I'm just going to grab a paper towel and just mop up the excess. And then I shall have a really pretty paper towel left at the end of it. And again, I'm just going to dry the excess, and as soon as that's completely set, I can add another layer of ink. Right, okay, so that's dried and that's what it looks like. Really, really pretty, I think. Now, alternatives, if you don't have the Bombay Inks, and let me just clarify this. Dr. P.H. Martin's do the Bombay India inks, which are permanent when they're dry, and they also do watercolours as well. Hydrus, I think they are watercolours, and those will keep reacting to water, whereas the India inks are permanent. Alternative things that you can use if you want to try this technique here. Deco Art Media do some misters that are not like dilutions. Dilutions are water reactive. These are acrylic based and so are permanent when they're dry. And the good thing about using something that is permanent is that when you add another layer on top, it's not going to muddy because that colour has already been set. Whereas if you're using something that's water reactive, you're just going to have to be more careful and considered in the colour choices that you make. You could also use something like this. These are fabric spray paints that I picked up a few years ago from the Works here in the UK. These are permanent as well. So any of your textile spray paints that are permanent. You could even use watered down acrylic paints as well, but you want some of your better quality ones because of course when you're watering things down, you're diluting the colour. So just some alternatives there for you. So what I'm going to do now is add a layer of the red violet. I'm just checking that I am in camera shot for you, and I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm just going to add a few squirts of this paint or ink onto the page like this. And again, I'm going to spray that with water. Look at the state of me. I told you I'd end up getting all inky. So we'll spray that on. And again, I'm just going to add my second sheet on top and squish it around. Just so that I'm, not wasting any of those lovely, gorgeous inks. Turn it over as well, just because it tends to run to one side for some reason. There we are. And then we can do the same thing with the isopropyl alcohol or surgical spirits, whatever you are using. So splatter that around. And what this does is it dilutes the colours that you've got underneath as well, so that it reveals that lovely purple that was the first layer that I put down, and I just think that is just stunning. And so I am going to give this a quick dry with my heat tool like I did the first time round, and you can just keep splattering until you've got your patterning how you want it. Just beautiful, just love that. And you need to work quite quickly because once it's dried, then the surgical spirits or alcohol won't react. Dry, and again I'm just going to add my paper towel just to mop over any of the little areas that were pooling, just like so. It's pretty much dry actually, so not too many areas. And then again, I can just go over that with my heat tool again until it's completely dry before I add yet another layer. And this looks gorgeous. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. This time I am going to add the teal on top. So this layer is dry. So again, we'll do exactly the same thing, trying to get to some of those areas where I've got a few white spots. There we go. And again, I shall do the same thing with the spray bottle. Let's and I shall stick my piece of photo paper on top and smush it around. So I'm just doing the same thing, just repeating those layers. Peel it apart. Oh, gorgeous. And again, I should do the same thing where it sort of runs to one side. We'll turn them upside down just to try and get as much of that teal covering the whole of the page. So trying to get some more in this area here. Peel it apart again. And then I'm going to tap on some of my surgical spirits. And again, it's revealing those layers that are underneath. It sort of shifts the colours out of the way so that you can see all three colours that I've got going on this page. I just think it's beautiful. So easy to do, but just really effective results. And again, I am going to reach for my heat tool and give this a quick blast. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I was going to add some of the green, grass green to the top layer, and I'm not going to because I just absolutely love the way that looks and I don't want to spoil it. But what I do want to do is add some of this pen white ink on the top just to calm it down a little bit, because you know the colours are very, very intense and I want to add my words over the top, and you know, you won't be able to see them unless I calm it down slightly. Oh, we've got a bit of goo. Let me just give this a shake. I haven't used this for a while. Here we go. Let's add a bit more. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the water and give it a good spray to get that to mingle around. I think I want a bit more ink over here. There we are. And then I'm going to put my piece over the top. Give that a good smush around. Peel it apart, and then I can turn it round the other way, which that's that way up, isn't it? And then I'm just going to add some of the surgical spirits again, which again will reveal those layers underneath. Just look, I just think that's like magic. It's just beautiful, isn't it? And I might repeat with the white a couple of times. I'll see what it's like when it's dry. That is stunning, absolutely gorgeous. And you can add as much of your alcohol or surgical spirits depending on the effect that you want to achieve. So I'm going to give this a dry, and as soon as I've done that, I'll be back. These pages just look absolutely beautiful. Let me just hold these up to the camera. I don't know whether you can see some of the detail where the white shifts. It just adds this really unique texture. I just think it's beautiful. And they're both quite different, but I think I'm going to be brave and add another layer of white. So let's give it a good shake and just add a little bit more. In for a penny, in for a pound, as I say. Now this white is much thicker. This is not Bombay ink, this is the pen white ink, which is really good for splattering a nice bright white, but not quite as runny as the Bombay inks. So let's give this a good spray with water just to sort of get that ink moving around. There we are. And then put my piece on top. Give it a good old smush. And I'm going to lift that up, turn it round the other way and do the same thing again. And I think this was definitely, whoops daisy, the right thing to do, to give it another layer of the white. I just think it'll be more subtle by the time I put my final layer on top, which will be the writing. I love that. And then let's bring back the surgical spirits and splatter again, and this will be my final layer. So I shall go off now and give this a dry, and then we shall add our words. Just look how gorgeous that is. I just love it. I find it mesmerizing watching the alcohol or the surgical spirits sort of move the paint away and leave those beautiful colours and patterns underneath. It's just gorgeous. Let's add a bit more. There we go. Let's really go to town with this. And then I'm going to heat set that now. There we go. I think that's enough. Right, now both sheets are dry. In fact, I'm still going to leave them to dry a little bit more thoroughly, but they're pretty good. And I just absolutely love how these look. I just think they're gorgeous, so pretty. Now I've been playing around as well with some sheets of A4 paper, the same size as these two here, just to see what I can get from the two pieces of paper that I've got here. And from the one, I've managed to cut out 3 postcards, 6x4 size, and then I've just got 3 little pieces of paper left over as well that I could make some of my handmade cards with. So I've got that from one of the sheets. And then, well, I could have done the same again, but I decided I wanted something slightly different. So I've got another postcard, and then I've got some ATCs. Now, hang on a second, let me get myself organised. Right, I managed to get, I think it was 6 ATCs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ATCs, and then a couple of other scraps that again I can use for little embellishments, or you know, that one would make a nice card. So those are your options if you are quite crafty with the way that you cut your paper. So I am going to go and cut these up once they've dried. I'm going to give them another half an hour or so just to make sure that they're dry completely. I can still see that they're a little bit tacky in places, and then I'm going to work on a postcard. So I've cut my pieces of paper up, so let me just show you what I've got. I've put a piece of clean A3 paper down here just so that you can see them clearly. So I have got 4 postcards, and I have no idea which one I am going to work on because I just really like them all. I think that one there is my favourite, I think. So let me just stick that one to one side. So I've got 3 other postcards that I can make. Then I've got 6 that I've been able to cut up into ATC size. I think those are gorgeous. I love that one there. I just love that speckledy bit in the middle. I just think they're all gorgeous. And then I've got these scraps left over as well that I can make some cards with perhaps. So let's work on my postcard. Now, I've got a couple of stencils. Some of you will remember that Linda Cooper-Pierce gave me a voucher for Hobbycraft for Christmas. And Linda, this is what I've spent it on. I bought this folk art, it is a folk, deco art stencil in Hobbycraft. And it comes in a pack of 2. I think it was £6. And I bought a couple of other bits and pieces as well. And this is what you get. Hang on a second. second, let me just grab a piece of paper. So there's this one here with inspire, hope, love, family. And then the second one in the pack is be the change, learn from yesterday, live for today, follow your heart, love. And so I'm just going to do a mixture of these. Now, I wanted my page to go this way up, and I just can't decide whether I want to do inspire. And so I think I'm going to do a few. I've got some of my Dilutions black paint, and I've made a little dabber for myself using just one of these flat round makeup sponges, and this is just a lid from one of my glue sticks. And so I'm putting that in there so that I can use it as a dabber. I haven't put it in very well. I need to have a fiddle around with this and do it properly. If you put it in right, you can end up with a really nice rounded dabber. That will do. So that's what I'm going to use, and I think I'm going to do inspire first. But what I want to do is grab some masking tape. I've got some here on my light. Oh, hang on, I haven't got my light turned on properly. Bear with me. Is that a bit brighter for you? It's probably been really dark for you today. So I'm going to mask off the pieces that I don't want, just so that I don't end up getting paint on the areas that I don't want it to go. So let's do that inspire first. And I'm going to do a few of these postcards just so that I can decide which one I like best and which one I'm going to use for my calendar page. So I'm just going to apply my masking tape like this, as I say, just so that I don't end up getting it in any areas where it's unwanted. Let's do the same with these stars here as well. There we go. I think that should do it. And so what I'm going to do, where's the postcard, is do inspire first. And so I just need to make sure that I centralize it. So I'm probably going to get my ruler out and just make sure that I've got an even space on either side. Fiddled around with my stencil to make sure that I've got it pretty much central, and I think that's about right. And I've just dabbed my dabber into the lid of my Dilutions paint, and then I've just got a small piece of one of these craft mats here that I'm just using to dab off the extra, just so that I don't end up with too much paint on the page. And so I'm just going to carefully now add inspire. And keep your fingers crossed. Let me just go over again here. This is just me being really pernickety here. Stop, Nina, because you'll end up ruining it. So there we go, that's inspire. So I'm just going to wipe my stencil clean, and then I'm just going to add this flourish underneath. And then I'm just doing exactly the same thing here. I've masked off the top of the inspire, just so that again I don't end up stenciling in any unwanted areas. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, making sure I'm getting full coverage. I can always go around this with a fine marker at the end of it if I just want to define any areas. I don't know whether you can see whether this is close enough, but the distress ink didn't really work all that well, and I did get some bleeding and feathering underneath. If I hold it up tight, maybe you'll be able to see. So I decided to try it with Ranger Archival ink. Excuse me. And much better results. I'm really happy with that. So I did a few more. I did learn from yesterday, live for today. I've got 2 of those and I'm really happy with that. I've also been practicing trying out some borders on this one here too. And I also did a couple of ATCs using this stamp here. Oh, I've forgotten what range of stamps that's from. If I can find it. Oh, here we go. Hang on. It's the Stampers Anonymous. It's one of the Tim Holtz collection. And so what I want to do now is do my border, and I'm going to do it in the same way that I did this one here. I'm reaching for my Distress Oxide ink in Faded Jeans, and I've just got my dabber here, and I'm just going to go around the outside with the Faded Jeans all the way around. and I'm going to do a double border, which you all know that I like. So I shall do the faded jeans first, and as soon as I've done that, I shall come straight back. Right, so okay, my postcard has had a layer of the distress ink in faded jeans, so I'm just going to go around the outside now with the black archival ink as well, just to darken it just a little bit more. And you can see the difference on the edge here, and I just really like doing this. You've seen me do this before, and I just think you get a really nice effect. So as soon as I've done that, I shall be back. And there we are. I've inked around the edges of my 6x4 card, and I'm just really happy with the way that that looks. I think that's yeah, I just love the black border and the Distress Oxide border. So that is my first calendar page, and bringing back my calendar example. Let's see if I can get this to fit on for you. It's going to sort of go on my page, something like that, once I've decided, of course, you know, what format calendar I am going to use. And of course I can map this, I can add some kind of border around it, and you know, as I say, I'll have a good think about that throughout the year, and then I can do that nearer the time. Now let me just put that to one side and bring back the other pieces that I've ended up with. I've ended up with two lots of, here we go, I've ended up with another postcard, so Learn from Yesterday, Live for Today, and that's got the feather on it. Again, I've added the border with Distress Oxides and the black. I also made an ATC, there we go, with the butterflies on, and then just a little embellishment, Hope, and I might even add some UT to this. I might have a play and see what I can do. I really like that. So there's two of those, Learn from Yesterday, Live for Today, another ATC and Hope. And then I've just got a few leftovers left as well. So I am going to offer these to two people who leave a comment. Now, you must be a member of Nina Ribena's Art Journal Prompts. And so, you know, if you're interested in receiving this little gift here, it's just, you know, small enough to fit into an envelope. It's open, international, wherever. So let me know if you're interested in receiving one of these. If you're not interested and this really isn't your thing, then please, please, please leave it for somebody who you think would like it. But as I say, the only criteria is that you must be a member of our group, Nina Ribena's Art Journal Prompts and more. So let me just bring my page back. That's week 3 words. That's my calendar page. I hope you like that. I hope you'll give this a try. Now, one other thing I want to say, I did this on the reverse side of photo paper with, as you'll remember, my Bombay Inks. If you want to try this and you don't have any photo paper, the cheap stuff from the pound shop won't work because it's got a paper backing, and so you just won't be able to do it. You can try it on the glossy side, but it won't run and spread as much. But you can also do this on a piece of pre-gessoed cardstock as well. So have a play if you've got spray inks, try those, textile inks, or even, you know, watered down acrylic paint. Have a try and see what kind of wonderful patterns you can come up with. I think I'm going to do some more of these whilst I've got all my inks at hand. So I hope you like that. As always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up if you did, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And for anybody who would like to join our supportive and fun art journaling and more group, we just do a whole mixture of all kinds of mixed media projects. I'll leave the link to the Facebook group in the description box below. So take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.